Recent research we've conducted shows that companies that link D&I efforts to business strategy and assess them for their contributions to financial performance far more often see contributions from D&I to business success and have seen 62% higher revenue growth over 5 years than other companies. As a board and a board director, how do you ensure D&I objectives are filtering throughout the organisation as part of your governance role?
I think with D&I objectives, it's really important that they're linked to the company's purpose. Otherwise, they lack relevance and they just become another set of objectives on top of the slew of objectives that we're already monitoring for performance and long-term health at board level, and they become a compliance matter. So if they're truly and genuinely tied to a company's purpose, then it becomes critical to be enabled and to be achieved. And then it's a part of the suite of other objectives that we're performance monitoring, that are part of our strategic agenda. It just becomes part of the same framework.
Carrying out a leader-led strategy is important. Who owns the D&I agenda? Is it the board or the executive? And how can companies ensure that D&I is treated as a core strategic asset?
D&I, to be considered a core strategic asset, really needs to be tied to the overarching purpose and strategic agenda of a company. And I think it needs to be led by the executive team, the CEO and the executive team, but the expectation of this has to be set by the board. And so we would set that through our line of inquiry as part of good governance and as part of managing risk. So for example, as part of good governance, we want to make sure there's depth of succession. We want to make sure that our talent pool and the capability of the organisation is match fit for today and for the future. Then as part of that, diversity and inclusion is going to be critical. It's just sort of common sense and a linear logic that would flow from that. So the board's responsibility is to make sure that expectation is set under that agenda. But then it's got to be the CEO and the executive team who own making it happen. And why? It's because they are the very people who are leading that talent, leading that workforce and capability.
Can you point to any programs or initiatives that you have seen successful?
We are very proud at Coles Group of a program we have on diversity and inclusion with our First Nations people. So I have a belief that D&I needs to be tied to a company's purpose, and Coles Group purpose is to sustainably feed all Australians to lead healthier and happier lives. But that first phrase is critical, sustainably for all Australians. And the Australian people we serve are our customers and our communities. In Australia, our First Nations people make up 3% of the population. So at the very least, if we're representing and serving all of Australians and all communities, our workforce should represent and reflect that. And so we set a target, which we achieved in half the time. We now have 3% of our workforce who are Indigenous Australian. And that is now 4,200 people. We are the largest private corporation and employer of our First Nations people, which we're really proud of. Because we're really putting a concerted effort into our regional and rural communities, we want to set an even higher bar. So now we've said we want to set that to be 5% and have 3% of our workforce of these Indigenous workers to actually be team leaders. So we put, it's such an important goal for us as part of our purpose. So it's very relevant. We talk about it every single board meeting, and we actively look at how we can role model and strengthen the capability building in the pipeline.